Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Let's just say this is your boy Curtis Striker Prime, and we're going back out into it. The world outside my window. I know it's been a while since I've been on my last episode. I just got a chance to just do a brief introduction to see how things is going, and just to speed things up a little bit. First off, I'll say I know it's already 13 days into the new year, so happy new year anyways. Happy 2020. Hopefully, in the process of what we're going to be going through for the next, you say, 11 months and 18 days, 19 days or so, we don't have any other crazy mishaps. According to the presidency, the impeachment, and whatever else is going on that side of the planet, which I could care less. Which I say that part of the country, which I can care less, because as we all know, this guy is a fucking idiot from start to end. No offense, but yet, in actuality, yes, Donald Trump is a fucking idiot. And there's no one that can sit here and say anything different about my opinion, because basically, this is my show, this is my opinion. Overall, let's cut to the chase. I know it's been a few days since the new year has already started, and now we've got a lot of things going on that have really made no sense at all, especially this whole thing with the so-called strikes that hit Iran. First off, what did Iran do to us so bad that we had to end up sending out an airstrike on their land, killing one of their top generals, and doing the stupidest thing to almost create the declaration of war? I don't know. I'm not even trying to sit down and figure that out, because that's one puzzle that even my own intellectual mind will say, you know what, this wasn't even worth even spending $10 for. In retrospect to that, again, well, here we are right now. It's the cusp of a new year. A new decade is already upon us. A new score has come into fruition. At the same time, we have a presidential election about to go down, which means your boy Trump ain't getting no shots in this election. Hopefully, there's no Republicans that are actually bold enough to want to come up here and take that seat and look like a bunch of idiots at the time. Because this is what we got. It's a constant pattern. Republicans screw things up. Democrats got to pick up and fix the mess. But when they fix the mess, there's always a few scraps left behind. And then when the Republicans come back, they fuck it all up again. Sorry, those are the breaks. I guess that's their rules of conduct, or whatever you want to call that, because honestly, again, that's worse than working in a corporation thinking that you're going to get something out of it. In other retrospectives, let's see what we got so far. Looks like the New York City's MTA is actually deciding to want to put more cops out there for fare beaters. They actually try to put this plan into action as of late last year. Sadly, from looking at that option, I think that was the worst time, or actually the worst course of action. You sit here, no offense to MTA, but you sit there and you have problems after problems, the problems between track work, delays in trains, overcrowding, and now we've got crazy things like almost attempted abductions, infighting, and a bunch of stuff that's happening along the trains. First off, a few years back, you finally decided to have more protection for your transit workers. Where now, if you hit a transit worker, that's a felony and 7 years in prison and probably a $1,000 fine. I'm not taking that risk. Sorry, not sorry. Second of all, I'm actually I went to take the test for the conductors of the MTA to be a conductor on the trains. I still haven't heard jack from them, which is kind of really messed up, because okay, it makes you wonder whether or not, matter of fact, it makes you wonder about how these companies think of people that are intelligent. Let's just sidebar to that for a hot second. When it comes down to intelligence and corporations, that's something in which I've always come to grips with. It feels like that the people that are intelligent, whether they are, and This is outside of management. This is just the guys that are out there busting their ass to do the work. They're the ones that come up with creative ideas, and yet they want to implement these ideas to their managers, to their supervisors, and to whomever they want to try. And then when the manager decides to do it, he steals your credit. I think that sucks. Sorry, I'm just the type of person that feels like, okay, when you do something and you don't get your credit is due, and if it's not done in a proper manner, I say take legal action. No offense, I say do it that way. Patent the process and do it that way. I give you a great example. I used to work for a company. I used to work for Canon Business Solutions back in the early 2000s, and in the process, or should I say around my second year working for the company, they implemented the idea of now, since the company was remerging again from, I guess, 6 divisions to working as 3 divisions or whatnot, they turned around and changed everybody's routine and routing. Pretty much everybody who was in the Midtown West section had all of Midtown West to cover. That included Times Square, Herald Square, Upper West Side, Harlem, and beyond. Harlem and Harlem was the stopping point. Let's just put it like that. Harlem was the stopping point. And I know I gotten cool with one of the dispatchers on the team. So me and this dispatcher, Cookie, she was a sweet lady. I can never lie. That woman was a sweetheart to me, and I'll never forget her. I love her. She's a good lady. But getting back on course to the subject here, she would send me out to a bunch of calls in areas where most people did not dislike me, or whatever the case may be. Some people had actually issues in the Midtown West area. So what we did was that I implemented an idea to her and asked her if she could work with me on that one, which was the furthest service calls I got out uptown. I would work on that area and then work my way down till I got to Times Square. By the time I hit Times Square area and I knew it was reaching 5 o'clock, pack my bags, jump in the train, and I'm heading straight home. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's how the tactic was supposed to work. Easy, plain and simple. The management wasn't really cool with that idea. Their whole concept was, whatever calls you get, you got to be there at an X amount of time to be at that call. And the average thing was that it had to be within a 4-hour time period. I had calls where it was either difficult problems with the machine needing repairs or an irate customer, and I had to sit there and try to deal with this irate customer, as well as also make sure the machine was up and running. Oh boy. And what really got to me about the whole thing, about that whole business, and this was this was Canon, Rico, and a few other places I used to work for. And in the service industry, you're supposed to have the back of your technicians. Am I right? Am I right about that? You're supposed to have your technicians back. If you made a mistake, you made a mistake. Yeah, like this. You have your techs back. And in that process, what made me upset about it was the fact that, okay, in any kind of business, and you're an employee and you're doing service for a customer, 9 times out of 10, matter of fact, 10 times out of 10, if you make an error or the customer's dissatisfied, it's your fault. There's no question about it. It's your fault. And you got to fix it. And if they get the manager involved, then it comes down in your head, and all of a sudden, it's you getting in trouble, the customer getting their way, and you sitting there looking like an ass. I'll be honest. And I've had my fair shares of looking like an ass when customers went stupid and went left. Yeah, there were times I was young, dumb, and full of stupidity. For instance, I was at a client, Toys R Us. Actually, I'll give you 2 examples. I was at a client, Toys R Us. Now, at the same time, I had just gotten back from a toy convention. That's where I got a chance to meet Peter Cullen that year in 2003, if I'm correct. And 2004, 2005. Yeah, around that time. And I took pictures. Some of them I was kind of concerned about because I didn't know whether or not they came out well. I sent them to get developed. They got developed. Everything came out. I usually asked them to. At the time, I used to ask them to give me the physical photos plus a CD. That way, at least I always have a digital copy. So, luckily, I was working on the site. I was getting finished up. I had just finished doing some patchwork on it, and I decided to take the CD, open it up, and look at the pictures. Rookie mistake, big mistake. Why? Because then the client walked in, saw me on that computer with the disc in hand. I said with the disc sleeve. All I did was say, I'm here to check some things out, and that's about it. I pulled the disc out, cleared up the area that I was working on along with the machine. The machine was working fine. I had it cleaned up. Everything was touched up and good to go. All I needed was just a lady's signature. I got the signature and I left. Within 20 minutes of me leaving, that client called up in the office and called my manager and said, we don't want him here no more because he thinks he messes around with stuff. I'm like, if I can't get to access to certain things I can do, then I'm screwed. So what can I do? Second example. The New York Times building that used to sit on 43rd Street. That was one of my client sites, one of my major sites, because whenever I go there, I had about 10 or 15 machines I had to work on. And in them 10 or 15 machines, I had a client that worked in, I guess, a editorial area. So I went there to go do my usual 2 months in maintenance run of every machine that was on the field. So I go to this lady's machine. Now she's on the phone. I'm minding my business, listening to my music for a second. And I'm going through, checking the numbers, going through service mode, checking everything to make sure everything is okay, everything is clean, everything is good to go. Boom. I see there's a problem with the machine. There's copy quality issues. So I said, ma'am, I need to change the part. She sits there, makes copies and says, you did that, it's your fault. Knowing the fact that I had told this woman month after month after month that every time this happens, this is wear and tear. It needs to be replaced in order to make your copies look clean. It's not a person's fault. It's just the wear and tear of the product that's being used. It happens. She went off, had an attitude and everything else. I said, all I did was try to calm her down and get it done. I get to the office to pick up my parts. They told me they don't want me to go back there no more. The lady's sitting there thinking I'm losing my mind. I'm talking to myself and she thinks I'm going crazy. Most intelligent people talk to themselves and are the smartest sons of bitches on the planet. Believe that. This lady was a dingbat. So I get back to the site. I couldn't do the job. She had security bring down my book bag tool bag, which was kind of ridiculous and it really was insulting. So at that point, again, here it is. What I understand is that the client is always right and you are always wrong. And this goes in corporate America and it sucks. I think that it needs to be restructured in a way where everyone gets a fair shot of getting their say before anybody is considered taking the blame for anything. But enough about that. Maybe I'll get a chance to jump into a part 2 of this. But as again, this is your host. I just want you guys to have a great 2020. And keep striving, keep striking, and just do your thing. All right. This is your boy Striker Prime, aka Curtis Lawson. Or should I say Curtis Lawson, aka Striker Prime, and this is the world outside my window. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you again next time.